Hi, everyone, and welcome to OEM Update, where we talk about everything you need to know about this year's vehicle model lines in order to sell them. My name is Megan Cusack, editor of Motorcycle and Powersports News, and today we're going to be talking about the 2024 Super 73 Z-Miami electric bicycle. The Z-Miami is part of Super 73's Easy Rider Z series and boasts a starting MSRP of $1,995. So let's dive deeper into what exactly this e-bike offers. But for that, we're going to go straight to the OEM source. Joining me today to give us an overview of the 2024 Z-Miami is Ben Masek, Chief Revenue Officer for Super 73. Ben, thank you so much for hopping on to speak with us today.
Absolutely, Megan. Glad to be here.
All right. So, can you give us a brief introduction to the 2024 Z-Miami? For instance, which types of customers are looking for this specific type of e-bike?
Yeah, I think, because it's a price point bike, it is our entry price point into all of our other vehicles. I'd say it's a customer that's looking to just enter into the e-bike market and really understand kind of what all the hype is about within the e-bike category. It primarily also serves a maybe more shorter rider. The seat height is about 28 inches. And again, so from the ride height to the price point, obviously the distinct style with the frame shape and kind of the banana seat, a little nostalgic back to kind of the early BMX days back in the 70s and 80s, and primarily used for leisure and commuting versus more of a utilitarian or cargo type of e-bike.
Okay. And so, kind of building on that, what are the key features and selling points of this model? There's kind of like a glut of e-bikes on the market. How does it differ from all the rest of them out there?
Yeah, no, really good question, Megan. And again, I think Super 73 has a little bit of a distinct styling advantage. I wouldn't even say advantage, but just a form factor that is so different than the majority of e-bikes out on the market. So again, I think style being the predominant kind of like differentiator between a lot of the competitors out on the market. And again, the size, a little bit smaller in size, so it accommodates more consumers. And again, that price point that I mentioned earlier, obviously being an entry level price point at sub $2,000. And with that, there's also three different trim models as well. So we have a core model at that $2,000 price point. But if you want to go a little bit heavy on the features and the riding performance and the components, there are different trim models above that $2,000 price point, but still allows you to get into something that's very digestible in terms of cost, but also gives you more performance.
So, can you break down the specs for those different trim levels for us?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned before, we have three different trim levels. We have Core, the SE, which stands for Special Edition, and then we have the LE, which is Limited Edition. The Core is a rigid frame, so rigid frame, no suspension on the front as well. It comes with our 500 Pro battery, ranges about 25 to 35 miles, depending upon how fast you ride that and rider weight. It comes with our Super 73 Trooper tires and mechanical brakes. The SE, that Special Edition, that is relative to the performance of the components and the ability to get a new colorway within that season. But once that allotment is sold out, we will no longer actually come back with that colorway. So it is definitely more of a special kind of range. But again, we'll produce anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 units of that particular colorway. And that comes with front suspension. So again, it's a rigid rear, but with front suspension. You have the 500 Pro battery as well, which again is about 25 to 35 miles of range. We have an upgraded tire selection with the Maxxis Super Sucker tires. We have hydraulic brakes versus the mechanical brakes on the Core. And then we have different color options, like I mentioned before, which are currently in the lineup called Bandit and Palladium. The LE, which is limited edition, which is limited to 500 units in total. That's all we make of that particular colorway. And that's actually numbered on the stem cap. So you might get, 301 out of 500. You might get one out of 500. But again, that is truly a limited edition. And once those 500 units are sold, it's a done deal and it's locked and loaded. And we will no longer make any more of those. So it's definitely more of an exclusive kind of rare scarcity model. And that comes with front suspension. We have a bigger battery. That's the 750 Pro, which is now about 35 to 45 miles of range. We have a gray Trooper tire, which is really cool. We step up into a Tektro hydraulic brake. We have lock-on grips, an adventure seat, alloy pedals, and a different colorway specific to LE. So again, all the way from Core at 2000 all the way up to LE, and again, different components, performance, and colors.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for breaking that down because that really helps to, that really helps me visualize what the differences are. Because, just looking at it on the page, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know that I
Yeah,
see much of a difference there. But that really helps.
good.
Okay. Now, so what are some of the features and upgrades over the 2023 models that will help dealers sell the 2024 version?
Yeah, some of the non-negotiables that we started to kind of figure out as we progress kind of in this industry and this space is the headlight taillight conversation. So model year 24, all of our lineup from Z-Miami all the way up to the R series, which was our most premium model, will come now with the headlight and taillight, where before it was an add-on accessory. So we've definitely heard from our customers and specifically more parents about how they really want to make sure that their teenagers and above are safe. And so that headlight taillight is something that we added on this year versus the model year 23. The battery, obviously, safety has been a big concern within the news and just generally with retailers and consumers. And so our new battery is actually UL 2271 compliant, which again just allows us to really kind of I guess meet the demands of safety where the consumer expects safety to be at the end of the day. And so again, that UL 2271 is incredibly important to us. And it's no different than your appliances, your TV, your dishwasher, your dryer, things like that. They're all UL certified to different levels. And so again, our batteries now are UL 2271 compliant. And again, I mentioned the batteries, which are great too in terms of the range. We have the 500, 750, 1000. And again, that'll give you a little bit more power and a lot more range. And then again, the new core special edition, limited edition, which we didn't have last year. So those different trim models also are different than the 2023 lineup.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, that UL certification is really key there because I think we've all heard stories about exploding e-bike batteries, and we don't want that to happen for sure.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, Megan. I think unfortunate what has happened in the past because it's such an exploding category, and there's been such demand around e-bikes. It's really opened the door for a lot of brands. I wouldn't say brands, I'll say companies, people that have maybe taken off-the-shelf batteries from different manufacturers across the world and put together an e-bike. And unfortunately, they're not really testing to standards that ourselves like us would hold ourselves accountable for, and our customers would expect. And so a lot of the things that you see that are catching on fire and really being problematic are really kind of those off-the-shelf, off-brand type of e-bikes. And so that's something, again, that we want to distance ourselves from.
Excellent. All right. Now, what are some of the most popular accessories for the Z-Miami?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard, but it's anywhere from phone mounts, right? Because everybody has a phone. Everybody wants to be able to either record their ride, take some pictures, listen to music. So that phone mount on the handlebar is a big one for us. We have a lot of people that use our folding pegs, which go on the rear chainstay, so you can actually have an additional rider, sit on the bike with you, and so they have some place to put their feet. Mirrors, clearly from a safety perspective, are really big for us. And then we have some more kind of personalization items between colored grips and pedals and things like this. But obviously security with locks and then different storage options as well. So different cargo crates and racks.
Okay. All right. So we've talked a bit about the actual models here, but let's step back and kind of look at the bigger picture. Why should power sports dealers sell e-bikes? I know that's been a big question in the industry lately. Should it be bike shops selling them, power sports dealers selling them? Why power sports dealers?
Sure. I think, several different reasons. Number one, just market demand, right? I think that it's really hard to ignore the explosion of interest within this category. And I think that there's a customer that already goes into a power sports dealership that might not ever walk into a bike shop. That's just not their alignment and that's not their activity in terms of like a traditional bike shop of a mountain bike or a road bike. But they probably frequently go into their power sports dealership for service, look at the new products from Polaris or KTM or Kawasaki or anybody like that. And so, it's customer retention as well, right? So to offer a wider variety of powered vehicles, including e-bikes, I think is really smart for a retailer to be able to offer their consumers, because again, they're going in there to see new things and new products, and again, it might even smooth out their seasonality of their business, right? Because depending upon geographically where you're located as a power sports dealership, the e-bikes generally might be able to smooth out some of the gaps within their demand and their sales. through the kind of Q2 time period, but quite frankly, definitely during the Q4 holiday season, which again, e-bikes are a great gift giving item.
That's very true. All right, and what is Super 73 doing to help dealers move the new 2024 units?
Sure. I think, hey, listen, we could probably always do more, but what we really try to key on are kind of 2 points. And the first being education, right? So, your question earlier about, well, why would a Powersports dealership, carry e-bikes? Again, I think it has to do with that customer, right? And so if we're educating the dealership about kind of the product itself, but also the fun and the activity that comes along with e-bikes, I think that overall would really help them kind of move those units and understand kind of why e-bikes can be a great category for the consumer. And then secondly, demos, right? I think, a lot of people, especially in the vehicle space, they want to be able to go kick the tires. They want to swing a leg over the bike. They want to be able to ride up and down the street real quick to understand kind of the speed and the ergonomics of the bike. And so really working with our dealership group and our rep groups to make sure that we're putting on different events and demonstrations for the consumers. And if we're not doing that with them, we're educating them on how to do that and what was successful tactics to run demonstrations at their own dealership. Those are really two things that really kind of convert that customer.
Now, final question here. What do Powersports service departments need to know about servicing this type of e-bike?
Another, just killing me with great questions right now. I love it. I probably three things that they need to really kind of hone in on, and that would be electrical. Clearly, that it is an e-bike; it's an electric bike, so electrical systems. But again, they're very familiar with electrical systems with all the other kind of power sports that they sell. And then motor maintenance is a little bit different, clearly, than an ICE engine or an ICE motor. And so again, motor maintenance and kind of what that looks like, and hub motor versus a mid-drive motor, those are a little bit different. But again, all resources and tools that most e-bike companies can provide their dealerships with in terms of understanding motor maintenance. And then last thing is kind of firmware and software, right? And so those are the controllers, and then the IoT or the Internet of Things, as they say. But again, downloading certain pieces to update their firmware and software to increase, maybe torque, and adding different things and features to the displays in terms of GPS tracking, or adding Apple Maps and things like that. So those are the three components: electrical systems, motor maintenance, firmware, and software.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you today, Ben, and thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with us about the 2024 Z-Miami.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
For more information about the Z Series or to become a Super 73 dealer, head to super73.com. And as always, stay tuned to MPN for more of the latest and greatest in motorcycle and powersports news.